I'm sitting here in the Nexus Art Cafe in Manchester with Gavin Burrell, aka the Reborn Identity. Thanks for joining me today, Gavin.
Thank you very much. Nice to be here.
Now, I want to talk first a bit about how it all began. Where did your interest in music start?
I've always been a big music fan, and growing up I would listen to my dad's records as he was playing them. Usually hate most of what he played, but there was the odd one that I quite enjoyed. My older brother was madly into music as well, so he'd go out and spend all his money on records and I could just get to listen to whatever he'd bought without having to get into it myself. When the internet came in, it was so much easier to find new music, and that's always been a big interest. It's always just finding new, interesting, unusual acts, and I think from there I kind of stumbled into mashups as part of that, really. I had a friend at university actually who was a really big Soulwax fan, and they were very much kind of like a big pioneer of the mashup scene. That just kind of really struck a chord with me. I never really considered doing it myself because although I've kind of tinkered around with keyboards and such like when I was younger, I never really considered myself that much of a musical person. But through my job, actually, I got to go down to a Sony press launch, and they were showcasing the latest version of their music and their video software. And as part of the demonstration, they had these guys called the Eclectic Method there, and they did all the mashups that they were doing live, and it was just amazing to see it all come together so easily. And from that, I was like, well, if they can do it and it looks that easy, why not give it a go?
So that was basically where the Reborn Identity began. Tell me a bit about how you came up with the whole concept, the image, Reborn Identity. Where did you get the name?
I think definitely in the mashup world, hardly anyone uses their own name to do things. And I think there's a big sense of this almost secret identity with it all. I think at that time I was very conscious of, I want to put stuff out there with a name that's maybe a little bit mysterious, but also I wanted a name that kind of reflected the whole aspect of taking things apart and then putting them together again in new ways.
Take me through the process. How does it all work? If you want to make a mashup, where do you begin?
There are so many different ways it can start. Sometimes, very occasionally with me, I'll hear a song played and I can just imagine part of another song playing over the top of it. Sometimes with mashups, some songs are just so incredibly similar that it can be really easy sometimes to just take something that's new and blend it with something old. A lot of the time though, I'll start off with either an instrumental or a vocal track that I just really love, and I'll want to do something different with it. So then it's usually a case of starting with the one element that I really, really want to use, and then kind of trying a few different things to see what works with it, and then just occasionally you'll hit on something that just fits beautifully, and then it all just kind of flows on from there.
Have you got any response from anybody in the industry? Any tracks that you might have taken to recreate a new mashup? Has anybody said, we love what you've done with our track?
I've been quite lucky on that front. I've had quite a few responses from various bands. I did a track with the Temper Trap's Sweet Disposition not that long ago, and the band must have stumbled across the song that I'd put together. I think they stumbled across a video that someone had put online for it, and they loved it, stuck it on their Facebook page, and got loads of responses from that. But I've had comments from quite a few artists on it, and the most bizarre one, I don't know for sure that it's actually true, but I have it on fairly good authority, that one of the tracks I put together for the David Lynch mashup album we did was actually played at his wedding reception by Moby. If that's true, then that would be fantastic, but yeah, would have been like to have been there to see it.
So you not only make the audio, you actually make videos as well, is that right?
Yeah, that's something that I got into probably a bit later than the actual music side. I've actually found that creating the videos gives me as much pleasure really as creating the audio for it, and it's something that I do put a ridiculous amount of time and effort into sometimes.
Now your mashups, you use all sorts of different kinds of music. I mean, I've heard indie, I've heard soul, I've heard dance. What do you love? What's your passion?
I would say I'm probably just really into music. I think to be a good mashup producer, you have to have quite eclectic music tastes, because you're always pulling together, as you say, things from all sorts. If I had to kind of pin it down to one thing, probably these days it's kind of the acts on the indie electro kind of border that I really love.
What's your main drive to be doing this? Is it your love for music? Is it getting a fantastic reaction? Are you doing it for the fame? Are you doing it for the money?
I think some people just need to have a creative outlet in life, and I'm definitely one of those. But yeah, it's one of those things that I have to do now. I don't think I could get through the week really without exploding from stress, without being able to just channel all that into the music.
Every Tuesday at 8 o'clock, tune into Radio Turks and Caicos to listen to some of the world's best indie tracks. I'm your host Becca, and I'll be playing you all the giants, including Oasis, The Killers, Kings of Leon, Arcade Fire, Passion Pit, The Temper Trap, Jamie T, and much more. And of course, every week you'll hear some hidden gems and brand new tracks too. Tune into the Indie Hour on 107.7 FM or stream it live online at www.rtc107fm.com.